Watch and burn.
Hey everyone, so tonight I want to discuss Requiem for a Dream. This is Hubert Selby's book that, it was originally published decades ago, but I read it back when the movie had just, I believe the movie had just come out at this point, and I loved the movie. So I tracked down the book and I read that. That was an incredibly easy read. For despite the subject matter of the book and the overall tone and the heaviness, I found it to be an enthralling and captivating, fun ride that was over like that. And since that period, I've read the book numerous times. And I don't want this like these movie books that I'm choosing to talk about. I don't want to spend this time saying how, oh well, the movie was this and the book was that. No, well, they left this out of the movie and they added this in the movie and that wasn't in the book, and this isn't really what it's about. I'm mostly just talking about books that I love, and Requiem for a Dream is one of them. It was a fantastic movie. Darren Aronofsky and company did a really good job in bringing that book to life. The only, I suppose, if I have to say one thing that's different, is the book takes place in the 70s and the movie does not. It takes place in present day. And there are a few things, of course, that are different, but like I said, I don't want to do that. It's kind of boring. It's like, I don't want to say, like I said, oh, this was missing and this was added. It's just, I love this book because I love how in the book there's that sense of like all of the principal characters kind of have this that's not going to happen to us attitude. Like as things continually go from bad to worse and worse and worse and worse, and things eventually fall apart completely, as a matter of fact. Um, they believe that whatever's coming next is going to come for somebody else, but not them. Like for example, what happens is for a while there, towards the end of the book, the entire city of New York is tossed into a state of chaos, and there's police everywhere because the streets are dry. There's no drugs anywhere, and it sends like pretty much every junkie on like a kill crazy rampage. Not in an unrealistic sense, but more in they're desperate to get well, and they're willing to do anything to scavenge and kill and steal and rob to find that tiny bit of heroin that's left on the streets. And so you have you have the guys traveling out looking for a connection so that they can find some heroin so they can get high. And from time to time, they'll find themselves up against people like in an old piece of shit falling apart building, and they'll see the people that were apparently had some heroin, but as it turned out they didn't. They'll be using like toilet water or something to cook the little bit of heroin they had, and you'll notice that the guys are like, Harold's like, no, no, I don't care. Like, I'm not that. That's not me. I have a heroin habit, sure, but I will never use dirty toilet water to cook heroin in because that's just not who I am. And then, barely 3 or 4 pages later, sure enough, he's in some dirty other beaten up piece of shit building in like a public bathroom, and he's using public toilet water to cook his heroin in. And that's, I think, was my favorite thing about this book, was how like they will definitely say this isn't going to be us, but it's almost like they know that's already them, and they just figure if they can deny it to themselves, and I guess through denying it to themselves, or to themselves, sorry, that they're denying it to us as the readers as well, that no, well, fuck, I'm never using toilet water to cook my heroin, that it's some type of reality, and maybe it is, and technically I suppose it is, at least for a couple pages, and I don't know how much time that equates to, but I think they always knew that they were full on junkies, and they just like to kind of pretend that they weren't. Like the old dude in prison, nobody liked hearing about him. Marion was the only one that kind of blew off the story of the old guy, said he was just some misogynist whose dick didn't work. But the guys, they were terrified of the old man because they could see that that was going to be them, assuming their habit allowed them to live that long. And the old guy was funny, but, I mean, he wasn't doing very well, and his body was falling apart. And nobody wants to admit that that's going to be them, and so naturally that's what they do. No way, no way, that's not going to be us. But all the steps they were taking was inevitably leading them to becoming like this old man. And like I said, I think that was my favorite part of the book, was how good they were at denying their reality, only to sink further into their reality a couple pages later. It was almost like that was the joke of it, if you could find any humor in this, which this really wasn't. But it was almost like they got constantly slapped in the face by their lies they were telling themselves. And I believe Sarah, their mom in this, Harold's mom, Sarah, she is the one who suffers the most indignities throughout the course of this. That the movie did a really good job of touching on that when she was in the hospital, but in the book, it's more cruel. Like, the orderlies leave her after she soils herself. The orderlies are pissed off at her, so they let her sit in her own filth for a couple days before changing her. And she's coherent enough inside of her head to understand what's happening to her. She's just unable to speak because of the diet pills that piece of shit doctor put her on. And you, like I said, you will find more of the indignity aspect being focused on Sarah Goldfarb, and her obsession about getting on TV, because somehow that matters for some reason. And it's not even like she's going to be in like a cool TV show or something. She's going to be on some type of game show, but she becomes so obsessed with it that it ends up costing her everything. And no one's there to keep an eye on her, because her son is a junkie who's out trying to get rich and trying to get high and fucking his entire life up to the point where it cost him his arm, of course. And he ends up in a prison ward of a hospital ward in a prison somewhere with his arm missing, and she's completely lost her mind in an asylum there, and there's no one to check on her. And this book is brutal. Like, Hubert Selby Jr., this is the guy that wrote Last Exit to Brooklyn. And if you haven't read Last Exit to Brooklyn, I would almost suggest that you don't, because the last story with the gang rape is insane. It's like a 40 or 50 person gang rape where they put their cigarettes out on her. And that's that tone is at play here. There's no sexual assault, of course, but that heaviness and that weight is here, because this book is all about addiction and how it will destroy you in the end. And he does a fantastic job of writing that so well. And I love the 70s, so I really identified with this book because it takes place in a decade that I absolutely love. I really liked that as well. But yeah, so I don't think I'm going to say much more about this. If you have the opportunity, read Requiem for a Dream. The movie's amazing. Check the movie out as well. The book is an easy read. You will streamline your way through this one very fast. It's entertaining, it's fun, and it's scary as hell. Yeah, so I'm going to go. So thank you so much for checking this out. And don't forget to like and subscribe, even though the video coming up is going to say to do that again. So I probably shouldn't have said that just now. Have a good night. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button, because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe, and we will see you guys really soon.